That's how I feel. Not going to do spoilers yet. But if you know me, you know how I'm feeling about that The Last of Us episode, which I've now watched 2 times, and the second time didn't get any easier. But we'll discuss that. Welcome back to Live at the Roxy on this Sunday. Happy Memorial Weekend. Weirdest sentence of all time. Happy Memorial. Just need to figure out a new way to phrase that. I didn't know whether I should go live Sunday night because maybe some of you guys are out raging face. Maybe you're partying. This is like a Saturday night. Or maybe we're partying together and you wanted me to be here. But it was The Last of Us finale, and I was like, I'm not going to miss going live with the rock stars for The Last of Us finale when we've been building this rapport all season. For those of you guys who do not know, I go live on Sundays and Wednesdays. On Wednesdays, we bitch, we vent, we work on our feelings. We talk about entertainment news. We talk about personal news. We talk about political news. We talk about what's going on in your lives. We talk about what's going on in my life. We strategize. We therapize. We do all of those things. So if you feel like that, join us on Wednesdays. On Sundays, we talk television because I'm a TV queen. I watch more television than anybody I know. Some of you guys are right up there with me, though, which is pretty cool and why you're part of this community. And I have a lot of TV that I want to talk about this week, including The Last of Us finale, which aired tonight. And we will do an entire breakdown. On Sundays, that's what we've been spending the majority of our time talking about, The Last of Us. So we're going to have to figure out kind of new strategies for up and coming weeks. But we've been doing The Last of Us, and I usually do like a 45-minute breakdown on those. Don't worry, I will warn you guys when we're about to do that in case you guys haven't watched it yet. I also want to talk about the finale of The Studio because I feel like we haven't discussed that show so much on this channel, although I do bring it up every week briefly. But this was the finale, and I thought that it was awesome. And the whole show, I hope that it continues for 10 years. So we'll discuss that. I binged the show called Dying for Sex. You guys had told me to binge this. I don't know why I just assumed that this was like a straight laugh out loud comedy. I hadn't looked into it. I didn't know who was in it. This is absolutely undeniably one of the best shows of the year. And so I'm going to tell you guys about Dying for Sex because if you haven't watched it yet, this must be on your must-see list. It is so, so good. And then there's a whole other ton of stuff that we can always talk about. All the other shows that we be watching. Pulling up my handy dandy notebook to see what kind of shows. I binged a show called Side Quest. For those of you guys who are Mythic Quest fans, I was actually wearing my Mythic Quest shirt earlier. They did a spinoff called Side Quest that I hadn't watched yet this year. This isn't a show, this is a movie, but it's on Netflix, and I feel like everything on Netflix is a show. I watched the Brett Favre documentary, especially because Jen Sturger is a dear friend of mine, and I wanted to see what it was that she had to say, so we can talk about that on the show as well. And those were the things. Those are pretty much Mobland. Tons of stuff always. And the rehearsal's airing in a couple minutes, and I'll watch that and talk to you guys about it for next week because I believe that's the finale. All right. So those are the things I'm planning on talking about tonight. If you guys have TV shows you're watching, send them in. Let me know based on you guys. I watched Dying for Sex. So it happens all the time where you guys recommend something to me and then I go and watch it because of you. So send it in streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer, super chat it in. What are you guys watching? What was the best of the week? What was the worst of the week? Keep everything right now spoiler free until we get into spoiler territory because we don't want to mess with people who haven't seen things, people who might watch something later on. We just don't know. But send in support. If it's about television shows, questions about TV shows, you can do spoilers in the Streamlabs. I won't read it out loud if we're not at that point of the conversation yet, but I will get to it. I will get to all Streamlabs and super chats. So send in that support if you want to see me continue doing Sunday and Wednesday shows on this channel. So far, I've been having a really fun time having this more, I don't want to call it a strict schedule because I'm still, sometimes it's 7, sometimes it's 7:30, sometimes it's 6:30, but I more mainly these 2 nights of the week where we know that we're going live with each other. That's been really, really fun for me. So if you're liking that, Streamlabs in, send support. Tell me you want me to continue doing my Sunday and Wednesday shows. All right, my babes. Okay, what you guys have been wanting recently is for me to jump right into. This is quite the look. It's quite the look. we haven't been sleeping. We'll talk about why on Wednesday, but I have been in and out of doctors for days for Graham. So it has been a long one. But television is life. Football is life. So I'm excited to talk to you guys about this. Do you guys want me to start with The Last of Us? In the chat right now, either write The Last of Us or write other. Because we're either going to start with The Last of Us and then we're going to get into all the other things, or we are going to do all the other stuff to make way for The Last of Us. What do you guys want? Streamlabs, just write in the chat. Last of Us or other? Last of Us or other? Last of Us or other? Let's go into the Streamlabs while you guys are casting your votes. Streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer, ROXYSTRIAR. Why did I just spell that? Because even on my own videos, all you guys call me, not all you guys, but a lot of you guys, ROXIE. I'd be out here like Roxy with a Y. It's literally, it's right here. It's my name. RQMDSMD in the house. Our first Streamlabser of the day. Thank you for that big support. Just sending in some Sunday TV support. Thank you for that. Really appreciate you. Always RQMDSMD for the win. You rock. Okay, let's see. What are the votes? One other. Last of Us. Seeming like we are going The Last of Us. Okay. So in the next couple of minutes, we will transition to talking about The Last of Us. I will give you guys a warning before we do, but just to lay out the ground rules in case you're new to the show, here is what you are allowed to do in the chat. You are allowed to, once we get to The Last of Us, you are allowed to talk about anything that happened on the show. Spoilers for anything that happened in season 2. Here's what you're not allowed to do. Spoil things based on having seen the game. I have not played the game. A lot of people in here do not know what happens on this is going to happen on the show and didn't play the game. We don't spoil future things. We can only talk about all the things that have happened up to this point. If you break the rules, you kick out of the show. You get kicked out of this show forever. You lose your right to party with us. You don't want that. For real though, don't spoil future things for people because then you're just a dick. So that is how that will work. If you guys have things that you want to say about the show, start streamlabsing them in now. I have a lot of thoughts and we will get to those. Shout out to our super chat. James, thank you for the support. Going back into the Streamlabs before we get to our Last of Us conversation. The other thing that is important for you guys to know is that when we are done talking about The Last of Us, in case you don't watch or haven't watched it yet, I'm going to go like this. So just mute it. And then when you see that I do that, that means we are done talking about The Last of Us. So it will look like this when we are done. Y'all ready for this? I like to move it. I like to move it. All right, we're going to go into The Last of Us spoilers in 3, 2, 1. Here's the deal. Usually what I've been doing for The Last of Us conversations is let's start at the very beginning. And I start at the beginning and I make my way through the episode. I obviously can't do that here. I obviously cannot start at the beginning and make my way through because for 7 weeks now, you guys have been hearing me on The Real Rejects, which you get to see my watch along, my reaction to this on their channel Monday mornings. And on this show, you've been watching me fall madly in love with Jesse. I don't shut up about him. I literally feel like I am cursed. The second I fall for somebody, something horrible is going to happen. Like, just horrible. Jesse's my favorite character on the show. So after losing Joel, I kind of felt like maybe I was safe with Jesse because they're taking these big players out. And then they come after my man. Now, if you guys think I was delulu about Joel, and for those of you guys who don't remember, as Joel's dead body is getting dragged by the horse in a body bag, I'm still sitting there saying, maybe he's alive in there. We don't know. He could come back. Maybe there was still movement in his finger for a second. We don't know. Could this have gone through and then it clean? We don't know. Maybe he can't speak anymore, but he could be alive in the bag. Like the most delusional anybody's ever been. The most delusional. So fast forward to this situation. If you guys are out there thinking that I don't think Jesse's alive, then you're crazy. He took one gunshot to the head. That man for surezies could be alive. Like, that was one shot, one opportunity. Is everything you ever wanted. You can capture it or you're going to let it slip. One shot. Is it possible that this mofo could be alive? I'm going to say yes. Have people been shot in the face before and lived? Yes, they have. Google it. Because I did. Because I certainly did afterwards. We do the real rejects. We do the reaction, whatever. And then I'm sitting there and I literally pull out my phone. Tara and John are talking to each other. And I'm like, how many people have survived gunshot to the face? And there's some. Some of them have. So just throwing that out there. Do I think he's alive? I don't. But I actually can't process that right now. And I need the entire year to process that. The only okay thing is the fact that now I love young Mazzino. And everybody does. And so he is going to be booking. So whatever show he's on next, I will watch. Like no matter what it is. I will watch whatever unless he decides to team up with Mel Gibson for a show, I will be watching his show. Whatever he's on, he's got my eyes and ears and body if he wants it. Just throwing it out there. Listen, it's been difficult for him after the gunshot to the face. So we all need to be very kind to Jesse Young. The lines are blurred between actor and character on this one for me. Love him. He's so good. And he was amazing in this episode. And I think that made it even harder to lose him. All right, let's go back. And then I will continue to express my absolute devastation over what happened with him. Streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. Send in your questions, comments, concerns, and thoughts on this episode or on television this week in general. Here we go. So we know that last week I thought was the strongest episode of the season. This still stands. I think that the flashback episode was done so beautifully that it really kind of calmed me coming into this episode. My walls were down because we had this moment, this beautiful, beautiful showing of Joel and Ellie and me remembering what the show is about, why I love them, and how motivated I am to watch her on her journey. I felt then coming into this, like, what are we going to do to end this season? Because we have that, but we know that we've still got to figure out what's going on with Ellie and Dina and Jesse and Tommy and Maria, who we didn't see, which makes sense because of where we are. But I would have liked a little more Maria this season. I really like her character. I'm interested in Seth's character. They've planted a lot of people that I give a shit about back home. So I'm kind of excited about that. But anyway, what ends up happening is that we start with Jesse being there. And he is rightfully so mad annoyed. Ellie, where were you? Where were you? Where were you? Where were you? Like, you were off. She knows she was off getting vengeance with Nora, but your girlfriend, Dina, whose preggers was shot with an arrow in the leg, and you didn't come back immediately because she cares more about vengeance than the living. And that is when we see it in that moment where she goes after Nora instead of trying to meet up with, first she's a distraction for Dina and Jesse, but then instead of meeting up with them to make sure they're okay, she goes after Nora. She goes deeper in. So we start to see a pattern here. Number one on her call sheet is Joel, always is going to be. Vengeance for Joel is taking priority over human life, even the humans that she loves the most. This is an active theme. It becomes relevant again in the episode as we get to the Tommy situation later on. But he's annoyed. He's getting this out of Dina's leg, and he offers Dina some booze. And all of us know that Dina's a little booze hound. I don't mean it in a mean way. Girl just knows how to have a good time. He's about to pull this out. He's like, trust me, this is going to hurt. Take this. And she's like, I said no. Immediately, we know Jesse's smart. Jesse's supposed to run the entire community of Jackson. We've watched him find Ellie and Dina. Later on, we hear how he did it, which is crazy. Him and Dina are both super book smart. I mean, and street smart in a lot of ways. They've got it going on. So hearing Dina say, I said no, immediately I'm like, there's no way that Jesse's not going to realize what's going on. There's just no way. I mean, come on, he's my Jesse. He knows all. So then even as I'm looking at my notes that I took during this episode, I feel like punching a wall. I felt like punching a wall all day, and this episode is no different. The whale and the wheel scene. We get this beautiful scene it's beautiful and it's sad. We get this scene with Ellie and Dina, and Ellie's back is effed up, right? And Dina's leg is effed up. And here we have these two lovers who are both so broken right now because they're on this quest for vengeance that they both have equally signed up to, but one of them having a lot more information than the other one, and like lie by omission kind of. And we get kind of an intimate moment between them because Dina is cleaning Ellie, and we don't see anybody take care of Ellie in that way, especially now that Joel's gone. Now, I'm not saying Joel took care of Ellie in the same way Dina did, because this is romantic, obviously, but just watching somebody touch her and clean her and all of that, it was kind of intimate, and it was kind of sad because you're sitting there just thinking to yourself, what the hell is this show about to do? What are we about to do? Like, the show's going to rip our hearts out. We all know that. So what's going to happen here? They start talking about the Nora situation. Ellie explains that she didn't kill her. I'm kind of curious if that's true. We don't see the end result there. And I know that I'm hung up on something from very early on in this season. And I know that this might not mean as much as I think it does. But we heard Catherine O'Hara say that Ellie is a liar. That's a therapist saying that this person doesn't just lie, she is a liar. And so when Ellie tells Dina, I didn't kill her, I left her there to get infected, it's kind of semantics because obviously she's infected and she's going to die. But we didn't see it, and I wonder how badly she beat her, and we only see some of it, and I just don't know. I just don't trust her. I don't trust Ellie anymore. As much as I love Ellie, she's not a reliable narrator. And so as she's saying what she's saying, I'm like, I don't know. And you're kind of flip-floppy with your feelings. It's not the only time I feel this way in this episode. I feel this way when she has her conversation with Jesse at the end, which I'll talk about again when we get there. But what happens here is that Dina says maybe she got what she deserved. And Ellie says maybe she didn't. And there's a lot of thoughts swimming around in Ellie's head, and I understand these are a lot of big things that you are dealing with. This is the question of the show. Did she get what she deserved? Maybe she didn't. At what point is the cycle of violence going to stop? Because if you're going tit for tat, it will never end. It will just never end. We'll just keep going and keep going and keep going. So Ellie tells Dina about Joel. Dina asked, did you know who they were about the wolves? Ellie said, no, but I knew what he did. And Dina says, we need to go home. This is such a different change in tune than Dina from 2 weeks ago, who was like, I don't care if my mom and my sibling if they had been still, if the guy had been there, if he had gotten away after he killed them, I don't care if my family, whoever who had done something first, I would have hunted him down forever. I promise you that. And it's interesting to hear that she is one of those people who, like Ellie, we've seen her be like, no, we're going after this person who killed Joel. And she previously is like, no matter what he did, it couldn't deserve this. She hears what he actually did, and she says, we need to go home. And this is, remember, after she knew she was pregnant, she still wanted to go after Joel's killers. That's when the conversation takes place with her and Ellie, as she says about, here's the first person I killed. This is what happened with my mom when I was 8 years old. So this is so interesting to hear. This is too far for her. She's like, we need to go home. We need to go home. And now that could be because she almost died and she is pregnant. And so it just made it all more real for her. Or it could be because she's hearing what Joel actually did and she feels like the wolves were justified in coming after him and that it's time for them to go home. Nora already got good enough. We got to go. Seems like Ellie kind of agrees. But we know Ellie, so we know it's not going to stop there, because also then what would the show be? And what would the game have been? Streamlabs.com/Roxy Striar. Send in your questions, comments, concerns, thoughts as we go through the entire finale of The Last of Us. We're also going to be getting to a lot of other amazing TV shows that happened this week, so please send in different things you're watching, the best and worst of the week, everything like that. Mike Joyce in the Streamlabs says, after this finale, I think I'm Team Abby now. Ellie is definitely in the wrong for killing everyone in the way she did. The next season is supposed to focus on Abby. I think you will be on Team Abby as well after. Interesting, Mike. We will talk about that when we get to day one, Seattle. But I'm not on Team Abby. And I have a sickness. So doesn't mean I don't see where she's coming from. I'm just not on her team. Maybe I will be. Who knows? The show has a crazy way of twisting our brains. Stephen Summers in the Streamlabs, streamlabs.com/Roxy Striar says, I can't wait for season 3. Also, Isabella Merced and pissed off Caitlin Dever can get it. We all will miss Jesse. He was a good dude. I don't want to make you feel bad, but you will not miss Jesse the way I do. I don't think anybody will. Like, I am obsessed with this man. And he is such a great guy. And we hear about that all episode. And I was like, oh my God, this is devastating. All right. Keep sending in the Streamlabs. I will read them throughout as we continue going on. So then we need to go home. Jesse and Ellie go on this walk. That's a hysterical way that I wrote that in the note. They go on a stroll, guys. Jesse and Ellie decided just to take a little walksy-do. Let's just go on a little walk. And on their stroll, having very serious conversation, in which basically Jesse's like, bitch, I know she's pregnant. And then Ellie confirms it. And then she's like, oh my God, you were guessing? He's so smart. He also talks about how he found them. Your horse, Shimmer, is fine, by the way. Thanks for asking. He's just painting Ellie in not a good light, because by comparison, I'm Team Jesse. And I'm just sitting there thinking, like, Jesse is making so much sense, and he came after your ass, and he saved you guys, like, and you haven't been grateful, really. It's just she's pissing me off when it comes to Jesse. So then on their walk, they see another one of there's Feel Her Love, and she's like, there's more than one of her. I don't really, because I'm not a gamer, I don't really know what's going on with the Prophet and the Feel Her Love stuff. I'm really curious. I'm sure we're gonna get more into that in season 3, but there's more than one of her, and what exactly is up with this? Is that like there's more than one of her, the way that people draw different versions of Jesus and he looks different, and to some people he's this white blonde dude, and to some people he's brown hair, brown skin dude? Like, is that what the interpretation situation is, or what is there's more than one of her and what's going on here? I just didn't get enough this season to know, and I am super duper curious and intrigued, and would like to know more in the future. Maybe you guys picked up more than I did on this Prophet that we've heard so much about, and the Feel Her Love, Feel Her Love, Feel Her Love. So weird. Okay. Then we get a horrific scene. I mean, and I'll be honest with you guys. So I told you I watched this episode twice. The first time I watched the scene, of course, I watched it for Real Rejects. I did a live reaction to it. It will drop Monday morning. I watched it. I felt sick about this scene with the scar that they tell to take their clothes off, and that he's young and horrible, and Ellie wants to save him, and Jesse stops her. The second watch along that I did, not watch along, the second time I watched it when I came home and watched it before I was going to talk to you guys, I skipped this scene. It was the only scene in the whole episode that I was like, I don't want to watch this again. Not because it's not well done, but it made me feel like seriously sick. Watching so much gratuitous violence, especially during 2025, our culture right now, I feel like every time I turn on the news, every time I open my phone, every time I get a phone call from somebody, somebody is being like disgustingly beat, and I just couldn't. I was like, I just don't want to watch this scene again. So it's the only scene in the whole show that I saw once, and I was like, and once is enough, which is strange because it's not, we don't even see as much violence in this as we do in the Jeffrey Wright Isaac scene where with the pan where he's beating in the hand. But something about this was just so fucking upsetting to me that I was just like, and we can fast forward because we've seen this once and we do not need to see this again. Something interesting that Jesse says here, this is not our war. This is not our war, to Ellie. And you can tell this is a sticking point for them. You know this is going to come up later in the episode because you're watching. Ellie wants to save this guy, and she's just so rash. But she's also, her heart is in the right place. This is why, if you do love Ellie, this is why you do love her. Because she sees something and she wants to act on it. She's not somebody who can see something in front of her and not try to step in. And it gets her in trouble sometimes. And in this scenario, Jesse is right. Had she just stepped in, they would have died. Unfortunately for Jesse, he died anyway and didn't get to save somebody. But also, all of this kind of comes full circle when we end up on Scar Island later on, and the same person that she's sitting here feeling so bad for that she wants to save is the same community that was ready to absolutely gut her, literally. So that was kind of an interesting, the juxtaposition, I guess. Okay, so this is not our war. We understand Jesse's stance on this. Then we get this scene with Isaac and I don't know this character's name. Isaac and one of the women that's one of the wolves that we saw earlier where she ended up having to basically kill her son because he was stuck in the spore place. Describing that very well. We get the scene in which we find out from Isaac that Abby's the it girl. She's the it girl. She is the one. Now, I'm curious on how we got to this place. He's like, we have so many Owens and so many Mels. There's only one Abby. Abby's the one who's supposed to take over. Abby's the one who's supposed to run things. And in our minds, for a very long time, we've been comparing Abby and Ellie. Abby and Ellie. This is the moment in the episode I start to get a little nervous because who is supposed to take over Jackson? Jesse. Jesse is the Abby of this community. Jesse is to Jackson what Abby is to Seattle, the next in line. Jesse's supposed to be the Maria, and Abby is supposed to be the leader of the Wolves one day. And Isaac tells us that, and I was just like, oh, no. We're getting a lot of stuff about Jesse, and I'm trying to like clear the alarms in my head, but I'm thinking, okay, Jesse was on that casual stroll with Ellie and said, I can't die. Him and Dina both said it, and I was like, when you say I cannot die, that makes me think one of you is going to die. Then we get this direct comparison. Abby's about to take, not about to, but one day is leading up to take over here. Jesse's leading up to take over here. He mentions it again in this episode, why he didn't leave, which we'll get to. He did not leave. He fell in love with a girl. He didn't go with her because he is next in line. He's supposed to take over. That's what she's doing. So there was just a lot of parallels going on to make me think, about Jesse. And then we go back to our little stroll hangout with Jesse and Ellie. Why am I making myself laugh so hard every time I call it a stroll? It's like the least stroll-like thing ever. Everything's got a moral if you can only find it. I mean, be clearer, show. This show is like, are you guys paying attention? Are you listening? Everything's got a moral if you can find it. And people like me are so blinded by anger about Joel still that I don't even know if I will be able to catch the moral of this show if they throw it at my face. because I am so pissed. And that's the problem. That's what Ellie is feeling too. She is still seeing red. And then you can't find the moral. You can't figure out what's the actual right thing to do, because when you're heated, when you're angry, when you're coming from a place of hatred, you're screwed. So I actually am really excited to have the break between season 2 and season 3, because your girl's got to calm down. Like, and I'm not talking about Ellie. I am talking about Rocks. Chill, Rocks. Because if you think I'm not any more angry after this episode, what they did to my man, I'm obviously pissed. Okay, so everything's got a moral, if you can only find it. Then I really like this interaction. It reminded me of the interaction that Jesse and Ellie had at her doorstep when Jesse had found out about the kiss, and he lets Ellie off the hook really quickly. He pretends that he's going to be pissed, but then he's not. And we've always known that Dina and Jesse had a cute relationship, but that it was not endgame. They've been very, very clear about that. So in this moment, Jesse's annoyed with her for so many reasons. You're not protecting Dina. You found out she was pregnant. You guys are out here anyway. You ran away from our community. You did that even after the vote, which is crazy. You're going after vengeance. You're not protecting the community. He's pissed at her for so many reasons, but I love that he still says this. He says, let me at least get this one off the table. Yes, I love her, but not the way you do. He's not going to make Ellie feel like shit about the thing that he doesn't care about. I'm not saying he doesn't care about Dina, but he's not madly in love with her. So he's not going to pretend to be. And oh God, I just love him. I love him. This is where Jesse talks about being the next Maria, and that he was taught to put other people first. What happens when you live in an apocalyptic world where you are taught to put other people first? From all the shows we've ever seen, ever. What happens? You're dead. You die. You absolutely die. I'm hoping that's not what would happen in the real world. Do I think it is? Yeah, probably. People who put other people first die in apocalypse shows. So this is another hint to me about Jesse. I'm like, oh no, but I'm just trying to avoid all the signs. Okay, so we've got that. Then we end up running up because we hear on the walkie that there is a situation. By the way, I'm surprised that they still haven't figured out that that Ellie has a walkie. I know that they can talk over the walkies because they know the Scars don't use the technology, but don't the Wolves realize that a walkie is missing? I feel like they're on a tight ship. They don't realize that she has the walkie. Maybe they do, but you would think that they would use some kind of new code or something. Whatever. That's semantics. They hear that basically they think Tommy's in trouble. And the second that they think Tommy's in trouble, Ellie clocks the aquarium and is like, whale, that's what Nora said. Whale, that's where Abby is. And I was like, no, fucking no, dear fucking God, no, don't do this. Do not do this. Come on. Because this is where I drew the line. And this is why everybody's values and morals are different. And we get that conversation with them. But I understand why Ellie is going after the people who killed Joel. That's her person. Is it right? Maybe not. I get it though. And I can't lie. I would do the exact same thing, I think. I would like to think I wouldn't, but I think I probably would. But when she says about Tommy, I know him. He would want me to do this in regards to go to the aquarium and go after Abby instead of going to help Tommy. She's lost the plot. She's completely lost the plot. You think that Tommy, who we talked to previously, who you were like, I want to go catch Joel's killers. And Tommy was like, that's not what we do here. We go after the living. We go to protect our own. We don't go after vengeance after people are gone. You think that that's how he feels? Yeah, he'd want you to do this. He didn't want you to do it then. He doesn't want you to do it now. And he needs your help. Bitch, you dumb. This is when she started to really piss me off, because Joel's brother needs your help. Joel wouldn't want you to go after Abby in this moment. Tommy wouldn't want you to go after Abby in this moment. Dina wouldn't want you to go after Abby in this moment. Jesse wouldn't want you to go after Abby in this moment. Maria wouldn't want you to go after Abby in this moment. She's just showing us once again that she is incapable of putting anything above vengeance for Joel at this time. And this was the thing that I needed to kick me in the ass to make me realize, okay, I'm not the same as Ellie, because I would not make that choice. Tommy needs your help. And I didn't think she would make this choice. So this was like a whole different character moment. Then we find out that Jesse voted no, which I did predict and I thought was pretty not obvious, but it made perfect sense for his character. This is somebody that we have seen has said his community, the lives of the people he wants to protect. So why would he want to vote yes on a vengeance mission? That would just not make any sense. It's very obvious to me that he wants to protect the people who are still alive. Of course, he doesn't want to go out there to Seattle, not knowing what they're walking into, going after a bunch of people who came to kill Joel, and he's still unsure about why. So I thought that was a good character choice that they had him vote no. I am curious who the 3 people who voted yes were, though. And I wonder if we're going to find that out at some point. Okay, streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer as we continue to go through this episode. Thank you for all the people who are watching this live on this Memorial weekend. I appreciate you guys joining me. I'm glad we're able to do this together because that finale was shout out to RQMDSMD, Stefan Summers, and Mike Joyce for being our Streamlabsers of the day so far, and to James for being our super chatter. Send in support if you want to see me continue to do these Sunday shows, even after The Last of Us is gone, talking about television every week, the best of, the worst of, whatever TV we are talking. All right, continuing down our path. This was the greatest moment because this is why this show is so well written and fucks with your mind. I'm sitting here, I just told you guys, and I am feeling so team Jesse in this moment. How dare you, Ellie, decide to go to the aquarium after vengeance when one of your own needs your help right now? How dare you? One of your own who's had your back. How dare you? And then this is what she says. Fuck the community. All you do is talk about the fucking community. You hypocrite. You think you're good and I'm bad. You let a kid die today, Jesse. Because why? He wasn't in your community. Let me tell you about my community. My community was beaten to death in front of me while I was forced to fucking watch. So don't look at me like you're better than me or like you do anything differently if you were in my shoes, because you're not and you wouldn't. I mean, that's me dropping all the mics. Drop. Bella's performance on this was so spot on, flawless, but also in general. She spun this like crazy. Now, I'm still Team Jesse because what he said was where I'm aligned. You keep the person who is living safe. But it did make me start to question Jesse a little bit. Not because he's going to save Tommy, but what is community and why is your community more important than other communities? And how do you define community? And to her, she had community. Her community was one person. It was a community of 2. It was Joel and Ellie. That was her community. And to Jesse, his community is everybody in Jackson. To Ellie now, her community seems to be people who are helpless, getting beat to death in front of her. That's the closest thing she has to community in this moment, that she thinks. But this is something that I think that the show is doing an amazing job addressing. And afterwards, if you watch the after part, they talk about this a little bit. And they talk about what we do is justified, what you do is evil. And the issue with community and what it actually means and how you define it is kind of problematic at times, especially when you put your community above else. Now, I do this in my day-to-day life. I do this. I'm sure a lot of you guys do too. My community is everything to me. Who is my community? Depends on what we're talking about. Of course, you guys know my community are elderly people. That's my community. I spend 50% of my day with people above the age of 90. I get groceries for them. I took care of Puppo and Grammy, and I'm conservator to the next door neighbor and for the whole community. And prior to last year, even more people. That's like, I feel like that's my community. I feel like my immediate family is my community. I feel like the Jews are my community. I feel like actors are my community. I feel like LA is my community. I feel like artists are my community. I feel like people struggling are my community. I feel like people who have depression are my community. I feel like a part of a lot of different communities. I think women are a part of my community. People in their 30s are part of my community. People in their 30s that don't have children and aren't married are part of my community. How do we define community? And so I think that's difficult when two ideas are at odds where they both think they're protecting their community, but community means completely different things to both of them. I just thought that was an absolutely brilliant scene. Did you guys love that monologue in that scene as much as I do? Because that blew me away. Blew me away. And what does make somebody a good person versus not a good person in this world that we're watching? He responds to her, I really hope you make it. And at this point, because we've seen them at odds, you're figuring one of them's not going to make it. And what's unbelievable about this show is that the person who might not make it might be Ellie, because they done shanked Joe. So if they're going to kill Joel, then I don't believe that you are keeping Ellie safe. I don't know that Ellie's going to make it to the end of this show. I have no idea. So I'm like, oh my God. When he's like, I hope you make it. I'm like, it's crazy that they have put us in a position where she possibly couldn't. There's a possibility that she doesn't. All right. Whoa. The rest of this is shot so crazy well that I wonder what kind of Emmy consideration this is going to get, because the water scenes are so hard to shoot at night. My God, poor Bella. That must have been miserable. I don't know the temperature of the water, but it's definitely not warm. You must have been miserable. We get to the situation with the boats. We see the wolves all going on the boats. We know that they are planning this attack. It's like, okay, so the wolves are going to go after the scars. Cycle of violence. Scars after wolves. Wolves go after stars. Both of them wrong. Both of them evil. But only from where we're standing. Once we get, or from Abby's perspective, I'm sure I'm going to be like, oh, but they're wolves. They're so great. Like whatever it is. But we get to see the nighttime boats. Then we get the scene where Ellie almost drowns. Then the Scar child sees her, and then they almost kill her on Scar Island. And I'm sitting there thinking, looking at the time on the episode left, because if this had been later in the episode, I would have thought that maybe they were actually going to kill her. But I was like, there's too much episode left for them to kill her. So what are we going to do here? Like, how's she going to get out of this? And I did think it was an interesting moment where they're like, leave her, because I feel like it'd be just as quick to kill her as it is to say leave her. But for the purposes of the narrative, okay, fine, great. I'm glad we left her, because I'm not out here trying to get Ellie gutted. But I wonder how that played out in the game, and if that was any different. Afterwards, I heard them say that they wanted to do more on Scar Island in the game, so I don't know how much was seen on Scar Island. I'm calling it Scar Island. I'm saying that like it's Nantucket. Scar Island. Welcome to Scar Island. I hope you enjoy your stay. I don't know what it's actually called. I'm sure there's an island off of Seattle that this is actually based off of. I don't know what it is. Forever Scar Island to me. Streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. Send in your super chats, Streamlabs, questions, comments, concerns, thoughts on this episode of The Last of Us, or any other episode of TV that you watch this week that you want to talk about. Streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. Okay. Then we see, as Ellie is now leaving Scar Island, fire, gunshots, chaos. Presumably the wolves made it to Scar Island and they're beefing. I actually thought we were going to come back to that at some point, but I don't know what's happening there. Now, what is this a perfect time for? What's a great time for this? Brittany, I know. I all of a sudden, as I'm saying Scar Island, I was like literally just making things up as I go. This is a perfect time Turn around, everything. I get a little bit. Ellie, turn around. Don't go after Abby because you almost just died, and the universe is telling you to turn around. If you keep going forward, it's very likely you're either going to end up dead or somebody you love is going to end up dead. Turn around. You literally almost drowned, and you didn't drown, and you almost got gutted, and you didn't get gutted. So now third time is not going to be a fucking charm. Turn around. And she just won't. She just won't turn around. And we know that about her. We know she's not going to turn around. If you've been watching the show, if you've been paying attention, if you've been looking at the show, you know for sure Ellie is not going to turn around. And so I'm sitting there like, fuck. All right, buckle up, rolling up my sleeves. I guess we're fucking doing it. It's the finale. We probably have like 20 minutes left. Let's go. If we're going to do it, let's do it. Let's go. So, at this point, by the way, I was thinking that Nora, and you'll see me talk about this on Real Rejects, at this point, because you guys know I love to theorize. At this point, I was like, oh, Nora's a smart bitch. And I didn't realize we had landed on Scar Island and not the aquarium at first. And I was like, did Nora on purpose send Ellie to the scars? Like she said, wheel, and then Ellie ends up there and it's really the scars, and Nora tried to kill her just as her last thing. And I was thinking that would have been brilliant. That's not what happened, but just so you guys know, my theories run deep and are not always right. And in fact, I would say half the time are very wrong. That is one of them. We're on our way to the aquarium. We get there. I am feeling so tense. Just like there's no way that we make it out of this building with everybody still alive. I don't even know who's in the building, but there's just no shot that everybody makes it out alive. We get there. Y'all, did I miss something, or was this a reveal? I did not know that Mel was pregnant. Did y'all know Mel was pregnant? I had zero idea. Okay, so we get there. We've got Owen and Mel. I thought this was brilliant of Ellie. We don't get to watch a lot of moments like this where she gets to use more of her street smarts. We did more in season 1, but in season 2, we haven't gotten a lot of moments like this where she's like, bring me the map. Both of you point to the map at the exact same, and it better be at the same place of where Abby is, because otherwise I'm going to kill you guys. Because I was thinking, how is she going to get them to tell the truth about this? Like, how will she even know if they are telling the truth? That was smart. And girl doesn't even watch TV. See, now I'll use that method in the future. So that was cool and smart. Unfortunately, it doesn't work because homeboy Owen is like, I'm going to go for the gun. Was that a good idea? It's hard to say because I think any one of us with a brain would have done the same thing, thinking she's going to kill us no matter what. But it results in the death of him and Mel and the baby. I have a question that I don't want an answer to, but this was the question that I was curious about. Are Owen and Mel dating? Because I had thought that there was a vibe with Owen and Abby possibly, but then in this, they were together and then she's pregnant. So I was like, oh, maybe I missed something. I don't know. I don't know who's who. I don't know the hot goss over in Wolf's camp. I will know next season, but as of now, I don't know. This was so fucking sad. This was so sad. Watching Mel go down and immediately be like, grab a knife and cut it out. And seeing the baby and thinking about Dina, of course. Just thinking about how young Mel is and thinking about the fact that Mel didn't even reach for the gun and Mel was just collateral damage in this whole situation. And Mel was the one who didn't even want to go after Abby, even after Owen was like, we need to. Mel was like, just trying to survive out here. And not only she get herself killed, but not only does she end up getting killed, but the baby dies and she's like hallucinating. And she's like, you're going to cut it out. And she's like, you're doing so good. And it's just, watching this was like, fuck. Ellie has claimed over and over again she doesn't kill the good guy, basically. And I don't know enough about Mel to know whether she's a good guy or not good guy, but she was not coming after Ellie in this moment. And she done dead. And even if she was an evil person who was part of killing Joel, that baby was completely innocent. Woof. So tough to watch. Streamlabs.com/Roxy Strider. Super chat in. Questions, comments, concerns, thoughts on The Last of Us. Send them in. I want to hear from you guys. Okay. Tommy and Jesse go to find her. They do. Very difficult to watch also. And then we get to the auditorium scene. Man, oh man, oh man, oh man, am I freaking out in this auditorium scene, because I know that there are 5 minutes left in this episode, and I'm thinking to myself, nothing huge has happened this episode. I don't mean nothing huge because, of course, we just had seen 2 deaths, and we saw the Scar Island, and we know that they're fighting with the wolves, and the Scars are fighting, and, but the fact that Jesse was able to save Tommy and they're all back together and Dina's okay, I was just like, I think we are in trouble for these last 5 minutes. But then I very quickly kind of forget about that because we have deep, meaningful conversations and I get distracted. So basically, here's Tommy in the Joel role, 100%, trying to make Ellie feel better about what she had just done. He said they were part of it too. They made their choices. That's all there is to it. Okay, so Tommy and Joel are very similar in this manner. They don't want Ellie to hurt as bad as she's hurting. She has done this. I think Tommy probably knows it was not the right call, but he makes her feel better about it, or he tries to. She says, but Abby gets to live. He says, yeah, are you able to make your peace with that? And for the first time ever since Joel died, she said, guess I'll have to. So on Earth 52, what ends up happening is Dina, Jesse, Ellie, and Tommy go home, make it back to Seattle, and live long lives. In this world, unfortunately, she's not going to have that opportunity because what happens is, well, we'll get there. She has this moment with Jesse. Beautiful shot of the two of them, complete opposite ends of the screen with the auditorium behind them. She says, thank you for coming back. He said, maybe I didn't want to. Maybe Tommy made me. She asked, did he? He says, nope. She said, because you're a good person. And he said something, and this goes full circle to what I wanted to talk about at the beginning of the episode. He says, yeah, but also the thought did occur. If I was out there somewhere lost and in trouble, you would set the world on fire to save me? And she says, I would. And I'm sitting there thinking, you're a motherfucking liar. You little liar. You know who was just out there in trouble? Tommy. You know who you didn't set the world on fire to save? Tommy. Because you were focused on vengeance. So how are you going to be out here and say, and why would Jesse even believe you would set the world on fire to save me? What? Didn't you just witness what happened? She literally just made the opposite choice of that with Tommy, who arguably she cares more about than you, Jesse. I'm not saying she doesn't have a good relationship with Jesse, but Tommy is Joel's brother. And prior to Dina knowing, he was the only other person alive who knew about who Ellie is and what she's capable of. She's going to let him die out there. I know she says that he's fine, but she's going to let him sort it out. But you think she's going to light the world on fire for you? I just was annoyed with him in that moment and her, because it's like, and she's like, I would. Then why didn't you? Because also, not only did you put Tommy's life on risk by not going after him, but you put Jesse's life at risk because he had to go after Tommy alone and very well could have died. And guess what's about to happen, bitch? He's about to run faster than you and he dies. I still think maybe he's alive. Just one gunshot to the head. We've seen crazier things happen. Okay, so that pissed me off, and I'm starting to think that Ellie doesn't know what she really feels and is capable of. I think she believes, of course, I'd go after him. But in the scenario, in the actual situation, that is not what you did, babe. That is not what you did. We hear a ruckus. Jesse runs out. Before we know it, Abby's like, stand up. Tommy's like, run. Ellie's like, no, I'm going to stand up. It's like, run. Where are you talking about? Where are you going to go? How are you going to run right now? Where's Dina? What's the ruckus we actually heard? And obviously, we're going to Seattle and we're going day one, so we're going to see it from the other perspective. But we see Tommy on the ground, Abby over him. Jesse's been shot. Dina, where you at? Dina, where you at? Abby seems surprised to see Ellie. This is interesting because Tommy calls her Ellie. Ellie, run. She doesn't wince at that. She then sees her. Like, did she not even know her name? But no, I think she did, but I don't know. Maybe there's a lot of Ellies. But then Abby says that Tommy killed all her friends. Why does Abby think that Tommy killed all her friends? Why does she think that? So I'm excited to see Abby's story because what happened? Why does she think that Tommy did that? She says, I let you live and you wasted it. Boom. What the fuck is boom? Who will you shoot at? Here are all the scenarios. Let's break them down. Did Abby just shoot at Ellie? Did Abby shoot near Ellie? Did Abby shoot Tommy? Did Dina come out from wherever and shoot Abby? Did Dina come out from wherever and shoot a warning shot? What's boom? Who's boom? Now we're waiting a year for boom? Boom black. Boom black what? Boom black what? The fuck? And then the show does quite literally the only thing it can do to make me move forward. There's only one thing that can pull me up to make it through the credits. What is that thing? If you guys have been following me for years, you know what that thing is. If you haven't been, I'm about to tell you, but I just want to see in the chat who really knows me. What is the one thing this show can do to make me be like, okay. Any of you? Anybody? Bueller? Because they did it. Other than Jesse waking up. Chris Cornell's voice comes onto the screen. Follow me into the desert as thirsty as you are. I was like, you're not going to fucking get me with Soundgarden. My favorite voice in the entire world, Chris Cornell. You're about to fucking play Chris Cornell after you just killed my favorite character. I feel disheveled as hell. I'm questioning what life is, what community is. Who else just got shot? Did somebody else die? Is it possible for somebody to still be alive? What the fuck? They play Chris Cornell. Sorry, I jumped the gun. Before we get to the credits, we see a little bit of Seattle. Abby, day one. Now, I have to tell you guys, this was weird upon second watch because when we did the first watch, when I'd watched with Real Rejects, when we said Seattle, day one, I thought we were going back to the beginning of Abby's journey. Earlier on in her journey, like the first day of her journey that was relevant to us. But then upon second watch, I was like, oh, they've been using this device all season to tell us. And it said Seattle day 3 earlier in the episode. And I was like, oh, this is just Ellie being in Seattle day 1, what Abby was doing then. So we're only going back 3 days. I thought we were going back to see Abby's journey. We're just going 3 days earlier. So I think on Real Rejects, I think I messed that up because I think I thought we were going back, and we're just starting 3 days ago. Yeah. I wonder if, because I know a lot of people are Team Abby right now, and a lot of people are Team Ellie, and then there's Team Jesse. But I wonder if you feel Team Abby, if after seeing what happened with Abby, if you'll actually not be Team Abby anymore, because is she the same as Ellie? Or are we going to feel more Team Abby after all this? This we don't know. I watched the after stuff. Again, what we do is justified. What you do is evil. That's how Ellie feels. That's how Abby feels. This is how everybody in the apocalyptic world feels. And this is how I feel about the show. You guys are evil for doing all this to me and killing off my favorite effing character after they killed Joel. And then they killed Jesse. And it's like they have me and they're shaking me. Ugh. Very frustrated. Very frustrated. What did you guys think about this finale? Are you excited for season 3? Are you going to do any Googling or game playing in the meantime? Streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. Super chat in. I want to hear your thoughts. Thank goodness for Chris Cornell. Thank goodness. Love that song. Love that band. Love that artist. Mike Joyce in the Streamlabs said, you seem really invested in the show. Are you going to check out the video game cutscenes that show the story on YouTube? It's a long wait to the next season. I think I'm going to give in and watch. For Real Rejects, I can't do that. Anything that happens after that. I don't know if we're going to do any of the cutscene stuff, but it would be fun. But I'm a TV person. So watching this as a show is the biggest interest to me. Good question, though, Mike. And I'm curious what you guys who have played the game think. Everybody who plays the game is like, you guys, you need to watch the game cutscenes. And it's like, or enjoy it as a show, or both, or neither, or either. Streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. Send in your questions, comments, concerns. I did an hour on The Last of Us, and I still have so many other shows to talk to you guys about. Oh, shit. So keep sending in on The Last of Us, but I am going to wave my hands because I have to tell you guys about a show. I have to, and we're not going to be here for that much longer. So send in streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer, super chat in. Send in support if you want me to continue doing Sunday shows, Thursday and Wednesday shows, especially if you want me to continue doing Sunday shows. When you're sending support, tell me what shows you want me to be covering now that The Last of Us is off. Okay, here we go. Shake, 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 do, shake, shake, shake. End of spoilers. End of spoilers. Yeah, just in a singing mood today. Have any in the chat, yes or no, have you seen the show Dying for Sex? Yes or no? Streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. Oh, yay. Antonio sent in a Streamlabs. I didn't see this because it was sandwiched with Mike Joyce. It says, I know it's not fair to compare a show with 12 seasons with one who is still running, but so far, do you think The Last of Us is better or worse than The Walking Dead? See, this is non-spoiler. This is perfect. The Last of Us better or worse than The Walking Dead in terms of characters, story arc? So far, I believe that The Last of Us is better than The Walking Dead. But I don't know if I think it is better than The Walking Dead at end of second season. The first 2 seasons of The Walking Dead I loved, but it's better than The Walking Dead as a whole because sometimes it did meander and it had more episodes and so many more characters and so much more to do. But I am more invested in this right now. Also, Mike, how did you know Antonio sent something in? You guys can see when people send stuff in. That's cool. Can you see what they write? That's kind of wild. Good to know. Shout out to Antonio, to Mike, to Stefan, and to, which might just be Steven every time I say that to you, and to RQMDSMD. Appreciate you guys in the Streamlabs. And also shout out in the super chat to James. Oh, you can just see that they sent something in. But you can't see what? So what did it just say their name? That's kind of interesting. Good. Thanks for keeping me on my toes. Okay, so have you watched Dying for Sex? Let's see. No, no, no. Yes, yes, yes. Nope, yes. All right. let me talk to you guys about something because I feel so fucking passionate about this. Like unbelievably passionate about this that I almost started the episode with it today because I'm like, you guys have to know. You have to know that this is one of the best shows on television. And I feel like nobody's talking about it like that. So when I heard the title, Dying for Sex, I thought this was going to be like, ha, stupid comedy. But I should have known better because uh, do you guys even know who's in this show? Do you know anything about this? Have you even heard of it? I saw some billboards around town. And I was like, oh, whatever. So I kind of knew a little bit. But for the most part, all I really knew was that it was Michelle Williams and something to do with sex. This is a show that's on Hulu, but it's an FX Hulu show. And I love FX. They like don't miss for me. So I should have known. And not only is it starring Michelle Williams, but it's also starring Jenny Slate, Rob Delaney, um, Sissy Spacek, a lot of unbelievable performers. And the premise is that Michelle Williams is dying of cancer and she would like, and she is horny, is basically the premise of the show. It is a laugh out loud comedy, and it also is a make you bawl your eyes out comedy drama. I have never been so wrong about thinking that I was going to be casually meh about a show. I feel like I'm talking about this with everyone now. Not only do I think that Michelle should be nominated, but I think Jenny Slate should be nominated. She did the most unbelievable job. And if you are a TV fan, this is a show. This is, to me, one of the top 10 shows of the year so far. So we are already almost in June, and this is a top 10 for me. I'm obsessed with it. I think that it was so beautiful, and it doesn't sugarcoat what it looks like to be seriously ill. And it also is about like one woman's journey. And um, I don't know, it was weird. Like I related to it in a lot of ways. And then like I saw a lot of people that I love in it. And I thought that it was just not afraid to be itself. And it was just so good. I can't recommend it enough. I cannot recommend it enough. I wonder for you guys, did you love it as much as I did? Just excellent work. The finale was amazing. I think that something that might have hurt the show was that this dropped all in one day. And so it didn't have time to kind of build an audience and for people to hear about it. This dropped in April and they dropped all 7 episodes at once. And so it kind of came and went. And I saw a billboard. Some of you guys had mentioned it, but this I think would have been better if they had dropped 3 and then 1 a week to kind of find its footing and gain its people. It's a limited series, so it's only going to be this one season. I think, unfortunately, for this show, also a limited series this year is Adolescence, and also a limited series this year is Andor. Much more likely, Adolescence, I think, is going to win the Emmy. But I would not be surprised if this is nominated, and it should be. So check it out if you have FX or Hulu. I believe the Hulu Disney Plus bundle has this as well. Dying for Sex. And every time I bring up the name, I'm like, the name is clever and great and makes so much sense for the show. But also, I can't say it in a way where people aren't like, what? Did you say sex? It's like, God damn it. The show's called Dying for Sex. What do you guys want me to call it? Even me putting in the title here, I'm like, is YouTube going to be weird about it? And they might. I'll deal with that if it happens. Streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. Send in support. We have been here for over an hour talking about TV, and I want to keep doing it because we got a finale for the studio, which I know a lot of you guys are loving. And so I will get into that. Before I do, checking in with the Streamlabs, Toronto 7, streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer says, you will love Abby next season. It was my favorite part of the game, her perspective. Maybe. But when you do what she did, RQMDSMD in the Streamlabs, streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer with that big support. Thank you. So just sending in some more support for Sunday TV Talk. TV Talk. You guys send in suggestions. What do you want me to cover for next week? Without The Last of Us, what should I be covering? Now, no more studio either. I believe next week there will be the finale of Handmaid's Tale to talk about. I think Ginny and Georgia is coming back, and I will probably be talking about that and watching that. Yeah, I think there's a few other big shows that are coming back too. Oh, Poker Face, I started, but I'm not caught up, so I can talk about that next week as well. All right, streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. And let's see what's going on in here. Thank you so much for the support. Shout out to Leonard Kim, who says the finale was great, but I'm also so mad. So mad. Just when I thought things were dying down, a ton of shows dropped. Murderbots, Overcompensating, Nine Perfect Strangers, Sirens, and Sneaky Links. I also finally got to Deli Boys. It's incredible. Steph keeps telling me I have to watch Deli Boys. It's on my list. How is Murderbots? I'm not hearing anybody talk about it. Greg and I talked about, like, should we cover it for rejects? Because we're not hearing anybody talk about it, but I love Apple shows. Overcompensating, you're like the fourth person to tell me I need to watch it, so I will. I like the first season, Nine Perfect Strangers, so I'll probably get around to watching the second one, but I wasn't obsessed with it. Sirens, I hear, is one of the best shows on, and Sneaky Links, I saw an ad for it, but I don't know anybody watching it. Is it good? Sneaky Links. It's on Netflix, right? Did I make it up? Streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. Okay. The studio finale. I guess we don't need to spend a lot of time breaking this down, other than to say that I think this is the next show that could run forever. Like, this reminds me of a Curb Your Enthusiasm, where we get so many massive guest stars. It doesn't sound like Seth Rogen's playing himself, but like a very exaggerated version of his worst nightmare of himself in the worst industry version of itself. I love watching all of the dynamic of the main team. I love watching people come, like Bryan Cranston and Zoe Kravitz and Olivia Wilde and people all season long, Dave Franco. Just, there's so many great people and they give them such good stuff to chew on. It also just shows you what an absolute jamoke the industry is at times. And that chant that was like, what did they say? Like, movies, or like, what were they going back and forth saying the same word? It was hysterical. Just so fun. So fun. Great show. Could last. I'd watch it forever. I'd honestly just keep watching it, just the same way I would continue watching Curb. Okay, Jewish Zaddies with Larry David and Seth Rogen, both creating like two unbelievable entertainment shows. Just king shit. Love it. So good. I did want to take a little bit of time to talk about the Brett Favre doc, for those of you guys who didn't see, who did end up watching this documentary. What was it effing called? I clicked on that shit so fast in support of my girl Jen that I don't even remember what it's an Untold. It was called something. Well, let's look it up. Let's look this shit up. It was the #1 movie. And it's called. No, I don't even see it anymore. What the hell was it called? Well, you guys tell me. Brett. Sorry, Brett. Untold: The Fall of Favre. Okay, it's called The Fall of Favre. It's an hour and 3 minutes, and this is the description. This eye-opening documentary delves into Brett Favre's controversial career, the dark side of sports stardom, and the scandals that marred his legacy. All right, so #1, I think it's like pretty undisputable that he's just such a raging piece of shit, and this doc does a pretty good job of showing you all the ways and why. Not good to his family, not good to strangers, not good with the government, not good with poverty. Like, he has so many issues, and he's clearly not a good guy. So I don't think you can watch this and dispute that he is a good guy, although I do see that Jen Sturger keeps posting people in her DMs that like are such big Brett Favre fans that they maybe just can't see what's going on. And I do understand it is so hard when somebody's your idol, and then you find out they're actually a piece of shit. And especially with sports where it's not an actor, where you can't separate the art from the artist, not like they're playing a role. It's very difficult to love somebody as a player and hate them as a person. And there is room to do that, right? Like I think about to myself. If it came out that Tom Brady had like ruined people's lives and was arrested on criminal charges, then like what would I feel about him? And I think I would feel super grateful for his time as a Patriot and what he gave us, and also like he was a piece of shit. So I think I'd be able to do it. I think most people are, but some of the crazies I guess can't. But in general, for those of you guys who haven't seen the doc, Jen Sturger comes forward and talks about what happened to her. I don't want to use my words to tell her story because listen to her tell her own story. It's been too long where she wasn't able to tell her story. So check it out if you want to hear. But I think it was like just really devastating to watch. It's so hard to watch when somebody's entire life is impacted by somebody else and there's not one goddamn thing they can do about it. And just so much support for her and love for her always. But I think it's an interesting watch because it does give you a window into a story that is not unique. And I don't say that to take away from her. I say that because we've seen it time and time again. Many of my friends have experienced similar things where they are taken advantage of and they are unable to have this fame or the notoriety or the power to tell their story, and they are perceived in a way that isn't true to who they are, and it can ruin people's lives. And so I've just been really trying very hard recently to be careful with what I think about people and how I view people and what I think I know as fact versus what the media is presenting to me. It's worth a watch. Listen to what Jen has to say. Really proud of her for being able to do that. That's so fucking hard. I think about the day that I'm able to tell my story or some of my stories, and it makes me want to vomit. So much credit to anybody who's able to actually come forward and say, this is what's happened to me. And believe me or fucking don't, but this is what happened. And that's the fucking truth. And that's impressive as hell. So sending love to her. And I'm sure a lot of you guys are too. You know her from the Schmodown. She's a kick-ass lady. And what happened to her fucking sucks. So I watched that. All right. That was The Studio, Dying for Sex, Last of Us, Untold, Downfall of Brett Favre. What was it called? I can't even remember right now. Brett Favre, Untold, The Fall of Favre. The alliteration. You'd think I'd remember it. And those are some of the things I watched. Let me know in the comments after this what you want me to talk about for next week. And let me know in the Streamlabs or Super Chat before we get out of here anything you want to be read on the show live today. Shout out to the people who did Super Chat and Streamlabs in. James, my soul Super Chatter. Appreciate you, my dude. Leonard Kim, RQMDSMD, Tron of 7, Mike Joyce, Antonio, Steven Summers. Those are the people. Thank you for continuing to keep the show going. If it wasn't for that support, we would have to cut the show, period. So I appreciate you guys being here with me. And to everybody here live, man, Sunday TV just gives me so much life. I love this so much. I'm glad you guys love it as much as I do or want to talk about it like I do. Thanks for doing it with me. I will be around this week. On Tuesday, I'm on Christian's show. Tomorrow, I'm filming with Real Rejects all day, so I'm sure you'll see me throughout the week. Oh, we're doing a live tomorrow, a live episode, 2 o'clock. It's a live stream, so check us out on Real Rejects. We go live. I think it's me, Tara, John, Greg. I think there's a bunch of us. I'm not positive about that, so don't hold me to it, but I know we're going live. I just don't know who's everybody on there. And then Tuesday, Christian Harloff. Wednesday, I'll be here live with you guys for our famous therapy sessions. Thursday, I think I have a Real Rejects episode dropping. Friday, Only Stupid Answers. And back here with you on Sunday. So a day this week, except for Saturday, but you'll probably catch me on my social on that day. We are working so hard right now. Do you think this is comfortable to sleep on? I gotta make dinner now. I gotta meal prep. Sam, I don't know if the Monday thing is plugged. Hopefully they don't care that I just announced that, but we are going live tomorrow, so that's all I know. I think it's at 2 or 2:30. I think it's at 2, but I can't come till 2:30. Let's see what it says in my live stream, 2 p.m. But I don't think I'll be there till 2:30. Hopefully I didn't just spoil that. I don't think so. I think it's good to get people to watch live. Okay, see you guys then. Stay safe, stay sane, put down the toilet seat and lid. We don't want those buffoons. Do not trend with the Holocaust. Justice for all of the people who have lost their lives due to excessive force. My body, my choice, wherever on the rainbow. We love you. We stand with the women of Iran, some of the bravest women we've ever seen, and golden sparkles for the Zen one himself. Much love to all of you guys, and I will see you guys soon. Later.